I still look like I've had about 50 beers, though. That's the thing. I've had no beer, no caffeine, no marijuana. I just had
Right.
nothing but health, and I look fucking like I've had.
Yeah, no, that actually changes things. You know what I mean? Like, but that's good, man. That's definitely good. Like you'll feel the difference in a couple of weeks. Definitely.
Yeah. Hey, Michael. Yeah.
Morning,
Believe,
guys.
believe in the process. I feel worse today, coach. Believe in the process. Oh, fucking hell. Well, I've given up coffee, everybody, so I'll be even more happy than I normally am. All right.
Yeah, that would be a big one for me. I love my coffee, man. I only have 2 cups religiously. That's it. I
Yeah.
only in the morning, and that's about it, man.
It's been a long time since I was in Colombia, but I used to like waking up in the morning, going outside to the plazas, and there'd be somebody there selling piping hot coffee, and you could just buy one cigarette off of somebody, and you'd just be there drinking your coffee, smoke. You say, this is the way to wake up.
You know what? Funny enough, you drink better coffee outside Colombia than in Colombia. Why? Because most of this, like the Colombian exported coffee, like the greatest coffee is actually for exports, not for drinking locally. So it's funny, but it's I haven't been to Colombia in a while anyway. So obviously, I think it's changing now, but before that used to be the case. Yeah,
Yeah, but drinking it in Colombia makes it just taste nicer.
it does, man. It
You
does. It
know?
does. All right.
Okay. So we got a jam-packed session today. What we're going to do is we're going to have a look. First of all, let's have a quick thing in the chat. Who watched Maurizio's latest update video? That's super important that you watch that, especially anybody that's been commenting or messaging support saying, I'm not getting trade alerts. You are, if that's you, then you are the exact person that needs to be watching the updates from Maurizio. He gave us some good priming last week as to some trades that he's looking at. And as far as I'm concerned, we've had a really good weekly close, but we're only 4 days away from the end of the month, so it's pretty much about the monthly closes now. So I'm not going to spend any time on Bitcoin or anything because Maurizio will do his intro on the market or whatever, and then we're going to have a look at some potential trades that we could get into this week.
Yeah.
Over to you, big
Fortunately,
fella.
yeah, unfortunately, I was away Thursday and Friday, and man, fucking Thursday and Friday was a beautiful day to do trading, man. And I was sort of watching some levels and things like that. So obviously, it's one of those things. Yeah, I was going through the updates and everything, and missed the trades, man, missed the trigger. And that's the thing. Sometimes when you do leverage trading, if you miss the trigger, you missed it. You know what I mean? Spot is a different story, but then obviously make sure that if you do leverage, that's why time the market, and that's why you want to do sort of like good risk reward sort of deal. So that brings me, Ian has a pretty good point that it's all about monthly close. So we are pretty much 3 days, 2 days, 3 days away from monthly. So
Halloween. We got
there we
that,
go.
and then we got it.
So just as a reminder, what usually happens or tends to happen statistically speaking at the end of the month?
Things tend to go up.
It tends to go up, but before the end of the month, what happens usually?
Hmm. Hmm.
We usually get a sell-off, right? And
Hmm.
usually, but that doesn't mean that it will happen every single month. But think about it from the perspective of institutions and things like that. They looking towards close positions, balanced portfolios, things like that every single month. So obviously, I do not like to get position long term before the end of the month unless I see something very, very, very attractive. But that doesn't mean that you could not do like sort of intraday or small scalps and things like that, which I'm going to touch on. Okay, so there's a bunch of things that happen over the weekend. So over the week, let me share that my screen. By the way, how do you guys feel about crypto today? Because this is a very, very interesting question. Do you feel positive? Do you feel negative? Do you feel like?
Well, there is a third option. I know you specifically said today, but like yesterday and last week or so, I was pretty bored. I
I
wasn't
know,
positive, I wasn't negative, I was just bored, which
bored.
is
Okay.
usually tells you something when you're bored that you need to pay attention. Because that's the time that you think, oh, I fucking don't want to open that chart. I just don't want to open it and look at it.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of those things, right? I Scott actually I sent an email about it because obviously it is interesting, depends on how you feel with the markets. And usually, however you feel, you go against. Usually it's pretty,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like if you feel bullish, like if you feel way too bullish, be careful. If you feel too bearish, then you should buy. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of a counter. Um, but usually that's the case. So let me just share my screen. Give me 1 second because I wanna start with something here. All right. All right. So right now, right, if we have a look at the spaghetti multi-sector, I see that a lot of stuff are catching up, catching momentum. So especially memes, all memes are actually pretty good, but this is pretty much weekend price action, right? So something that I know about the weekends is obviously the weekend is, yeah, is you can get a lot of pumps. Sometimes we have continuation, but sometimes you get retracements, and there's a really good explanation why. And obviously, over the weekends, there's no institutional trading; it's only retail. Very easy to manipulate in different ways. So that's something that I always be aware of over the weekend, right? So if you trade the weekend, I think weekends are pretty good for retail for us to trade, but then obviously be mindful that that could not sort of has sustainability. So what I mean is, let me just start with Bitcoin first, right? So this is my scribbles from last week. So yeah, like I mentioned yesterday, I was definitely watching before I went away on Wednesday. I was definitely watching this level here, the 107. There was a lot of liquidations happening at that level. That would be a really good place to actually get long. Now, I didn't. Obviously, I was traveling, and yesterday I noticed that we have this is Sunday candle, and this is Saturday, this is Friday. So obviously we are on a would I go long now? Here's my question. Like, let me just ask you guys, will you go long now? Like 114, would you buy now, technically? Would you buy Bitcoin now?
That's a good question because I mean it's got the technically it looks quite a nice buy, doesn't it?
It does, it does.
Why shouldn't it have that second push up to the top of the range?
Exactly.
I'm gonna say oh a tentative yes, but I
Okay.
wouldn't back the truck up here.
Okay. So that's kind of, you know, like we do in these calls, we try to sort of go detective mode and trying to figure out the case, right? So we have different cases. We have the bulls, we have the bears. Which one is it going to win? Is this going to be a sustainable rally, or is this going to be a bounce, right? Sort of deal. So those are the options. So the first thing that I'm seeing is that this level here, this is the first level that the market bounced after the crash, right? So let me just, yeah. So essentially we had the crash here, right? The liquidation dump, then the market bounce, and this is the highest high of that bounce, right? Very, very important level to break, okay? Very, very important level, because this is where people are willing to actually take profits or start shorting. which one actually won here, taking profits or new shorts opening, we don't know. But the market topped here, right? Which is basically on the 13th of October. So that's my first sort of awareness level, right? So obviously longing, you know that you're gonna have a lot of resistance here, right? So in terms of risk reward, spot wise, maybe I'll buy, you know what I mean? But in terms of leverage, I need to be aware of this level here, okay? So the second thing that I will look then will be, where are you? Right here, okay? So what happened over the weekend, right? So let's have a look at our spot. Okay, so spot wise, right? So this happened at London kind of session. You know, we have a huge spot volume trigger, and that's starting to trigger all these liquidations to the upside. Okay, so we do have liquidations towards the upside, right? So people that actually went short, right, then, you know, got sort of liquidated or closed their positions around that. How do I know? Because obviously you have these massive wicks to the upside. Okay, so that's actually quite positive if we still have people buying on spot at those levels. Okay, so obviously we do have now, you know, at the beginning of the day, buying power here. However, something that I always sort of stay away from is of end of the month and liquidity on the weekends. That's something that I'm always aware of, right? Always very apprehensive to actually get into new longs and stuff like that. Can we actually run these levels? Yes, definitely. If I look at this in smaller time frames, let me just take this line out and make a better line here. I'm gonna make it thicker so we know that's the one that we're watching, and let me make it red and right, and I'm just gonna sync this. Okay, so that's kind of the level that I'm watching. Okay, now if we break this level, which is funny enough the 116 level, I do expect to see at least a bounce. It's gonna fill this gap because this is the day that actually everything crashed. So 122, so definitely we can fill that gap, right? And what I mean by filling the gap is that there's going to be a lot of shorts that are going to be closing positions here. This is kind of the line of the sand for shorts, right? So that could be a really good price to the upside, right? Obviously, this could happen before the end of the month. So we still have 3 days in where we can have a interesting push up, right? Now, after the month, or, you know, 1 day before the month close, is that going to be sustainable? Then we're going to have to wait. So that's kind of what I'm saying in terms of Bitcoin. But it looks like this, all this price action is technically weekend price action, which, yeah, you know what I mean? Like usually sometimes what happens is we do get a pullback, you know, because think about it from the perspective, very simple to actually get these shorts squeezed in a way, right? And then market will range back up and back and forward, back and forward. So let's see, that's kind of something that is in the back of my head. So with that being said, I'll be monitoring this closely, right? Because this could be an opportunity to short, right? If you start seeing a lot of volume start coming down aggressively, then that could be a really interesting short, at least towards this range low here. But that's a very small, you know, time frame trade, give or take. But then now I definitely want to wait until see the 116 break, you know, sustainability to make sure that we do going to have a continuation to the upside. So that's kind of what I'm seeing at the moment, right? In terms of monthly, let me open this one up. This is screw up. All right, monthly. This is an interesting candle. Okay, so depends on where the month closes, I think is going to give us direction to the upside. So as you can see, this is the highest close of this month, right? So obviously on July, that was the highest close. On Friday and on August, that was the open, but it closed here, but that gives a pretty good range. On September, we weren't able to break that level. So that's actually in confluence with the monthly. So this level here, 116, is going to be a very, very interesting level to either. If we close above, then we could perhaps see a continuation. If we don't, maybe we see a ranging or a little bit of a bounce back. Okay, so this is the one that I want to highlight the most, because you can actually see how these monthly levels could play out. So we have 3 months, right, that the price hasn't been able to actually break this level here. Okay, so will that provide us a little bit of consolidation? Yes. For how long? Who knows? That could be the next month. November could range, or December could range, or November could actually start breaking above. We'll see how it goes. So that's in terms of price action, right? So this is kind of something that is in the back of my mind. So the interesting thing is that news-wise, we did have China and US reach finally consensus. That's going to be positive for markets. But this week we do have a bunch of little fundamental stuff. We have FOMC, right? We do have a lot of fundamentals things that it could actually chop things around. Will be buyers, will be sellers. Is going to be a rate cut? Is not going to be a rate cut? So there's a lot of things happening this week. So with that being said, we could have a lot of choppiness around this week. So that's probably something that if you're aware of, then you might not start sizing big, or start buying slow. You know what I mean? That's something that I will not sort of position heavily, right? Now, if we get, let me just bring back, this is something that I'm waiting for. So think about it from, let me just get rid of all this. Yes, not relevant anymore. Okay. So this is the daily, right? I'm still seeing that now, obviously, we do have a gap in the CME futures. Where are you? Right here. So now we open a gap. So this gap might get filled. So that could be my next target of buying, right? So obviously around 110-ish, give it a take. Let's see what happens towards the end of the month. And then essentially I want to start getting position after the month is closed, right? I don't want to get any position prior. May I, if this starts going nuts after, towards the end of the month, so be it. But then that's something that I'll be sort of waiting for to actually get position a little bit, right, in terms of leverage. Okay, so that's kind of the plan. And now we do have a new gap, right? Is this gap is going to get filled today, tomorrow, next month, which it could be next month, because at the end of the week is going to be the new month. So that could happen as well. So yeah, I see a lot of different fundamental factors that we might, chop around, right? It doesn't give me enough confidence to go fully long here. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of what I'm seeing. But in terms of price action, looks pretty good. Like if this happened outside the weekend sort of range, I will say go long, man. You know what I mean? But then we do have this sort of level here that I'm watching closely. So unfortunately, we did not buy here. That would be a really great buy around the 107. But we do have this level here that definitely we could see, longs, shorts getting liquidated, and then this could range again back to 110, give it a take. So that's kind of what I'm being aware of. Now that's option one. Option two is that this sort of has sustainability around this level here, and then we definitely going to retest the 122 area, give or take, which is basically the price. Like that's the last day before the liquidation day. So that's kind of the level that I'm watching. So that's kind of the two things that I'm, paying close attention in the market right now. So yeah, the good news is that on the spot CBD volume looks pretty good, man. It looks pretty good in terms of Bitcoin, right? So if we do have continuation, then probably we're going to get that breakout to 116. But then, yeah, it looks good, man. It looks good from that perspective. So I'll be watching this one closely. In terms of medium time frame, it is looking pretty good as well. So yeah, is this the time or is not? But I think 116 will be my buy trigger as a breakout sort of deal, right? Now, if I go back, the liquidations, yeah. So if we have a look at the liquidations where we at, right? Hyperliquid liquidations. Let me just load this up. Okay. So you can see that lines up with that analysis. So if we start getting that upside momentum, that's the next liquidation area, 116, give it a take. So if we're going to have a liquidation towards the upside, that's definitely going to fuel the price up towards, it's going to start liquidating all these people here, or all these people that are going to start closing shorts. The biggest one here is this one, 119. 119 is a very interesting target to basically either take profits or an interesting target to actually for the market to bounce. So this looks pretty interesting towards the upside. Now, if we go and analyze the long side, right? So liquidations down to 112 and 112, 500, give or take. So that could be another level that you can, if the market brings back down after the month closes, then that could be a really interesting situation for longs to be liquidated as well. So obviously we are in between that range, right? Which one is it going to win? Who knows? But if I start seeing that CBD volume starts dropping, then I wouldn't mind taking a short towards that area here around 110. If I start seeing 116 plus CBD volume sustainability, right, then I might take a long, but then obviously that long, you have to be aware that before the end of the month, maybe you take some profits and things like that. So that's kind of the plan. That's kind of the plan that I'm taking on both ways, because right now I'm looking both ways, right? I cannot be long, I cannot be short, I'm not biased. I'm just seeing the market for what it is at the moment, right? I'm not fully long biased at the moment. So that's kind of what I'm saying here. Okay, so Todd. Yes, I agree. So Todd, the options are 50-50. Correct. So obviously, Todd has a pretty good point. You can scalp the market, accordingly. Don't. This is not the time to actually say I'm going fully long. I think we're still long biased, right? But if I look from the monthly perspective, let's say the month closes tomorrow, right? So if the month closes tomorrow, this is going to be a dodgy, kind of like a not really a dodgy, but usually on indecision, what happens next is a sell-off, right? Why? Think about it from the perspective that if you're not sure, the sure thing is taking profits in a way, right? If people actually went long here, right? If people actually went long here on the stop and bought heavily on the liquidation gap, then we start seeing indecision in the market. What do you guys think is the first thing that they're going to do? Buy immediately or start selling and taking some profits, maybe have 50% or like doing risk management on their positions? What do you guys think is going to happen usually on indecision? Okay. Yep. Well, some people say buy, some people say hold, some people, but in my view, especially institutions, they will sell or at least take some profits, right? So if you bought here, right? If you bought here, you're up essentially, give or take. Well, maybe you didn't buy right here exactly. Maybe you bought here. Now in Bitcoin, you're up 7% before the end of the month. Why not taking some profits, right? That's what a reasonable trader will do. And if that's happened, then I'm gonna get a little bit of a retracement. Now, that's basically what I'm waiting for, retracement on certain tokens to actually get position before after the end of the month, right? So that's kind of in essence the plan for it, right? So continue with Ethereum, right? So Ethereum is quite interesting, very, very interesting. So obviously last week we were talking about this level here, the 3,800. Funny enough, that level is being very resilient. So definitely that looked like, yeah, like I say, unfortunately on Thursday, everything happened. I would have long this one here. Definitely that wouldn't be a really interesting long. But right now we're pretty much at the same level of Bitcoin, right? Which one is gonna win? Are longs or shorts are going to win? We are 50-50 right here at this stage. Now, yes, yeah, you're gonna say something?
No.
Okay, all right, cool. So with Ethereum though, things look a little bit different. Let me show you why. So Ethereum,
Looks a lot more aggressive on the everything with the breakout, the aggregated interest.
correct, but there was a lot of heavy buying here at this level, right? 3,800 spot.
Mhm.
But now there is a heavy spot selling at this level here, right?
Oh,
At 40. So this definitely looks like a sweep, like, it's going to sweep longs and short squeeze kind of deal, right? So unless we don't start seeing a lot of buyers at that level, we might get a retracement here. So you know what I mean? If I add end of the month, weekend liquidity, and this price behavior, we might see a little bit of push down, right? We might, right? That's kind of what I'm leaning towards, especially in the next couple of days. So that's why I'm not going fully long yet, So Donna has a pretty good, yeah, DCA, still DCA on spot on Bitcoin and Ethereum as well. Ethereum looks pretty good from this time frame, right? Like if you look at Ethereum on the monthly, right? So on the monthly, looks pretty good. Even though if we close around here, around the 38, the 4,000 level, that's definitely a good level for the monthly to close, because obviously it's going to give acceptance to that new value of the $4,000. So if this is when value changes in terms of what's cheap and what's expensive. So when the price actually stays for a long time above that level, now people tend to say, oh, 4,000 is cheap, or 4,000 is a good value level for Ethereum. And then that's when the market starts appreciating in value, right? So this looks pretty good. I do like it from the long-term perspective. Same thing as Solana. So Solana, all right, this is the monthly on Solana. So we are at the 200 level, give or take. That level has been a very interesting level for a while, right? For a while. So obviously we are holding above that level. So I do like it as well. BNB as well, from the monthly perspective. Obviously, this is a tough one, the BNB, because BNB is actually in price discovery. You have no idea what's good value or not good value for BNB at this stage. However, on the back of Trump pardoning CZ or CC for on Binance and all that sort of stuff, this could be an interesting value level from that perspective, right? But in terms of price action, BNB is a little bit hard to trade long term, but it looks pretty strong, man. This thing looks pretty strong. This is the flush that we had on October, right? We still holding that value right there. So obviously, I'm looking at this one. I'm looking at BNB, but because BNB is a little bit hard to know where it's going to head out. As long BNB ranges along here, I'm planning to take some beta trades on Cake. So Cake, that was the trade that I was thinking yesterday, but I'm still liking it. Obviously, it's a little bit up outside the price that I was going to buy, but I do like Cake as a beta play for BNB. Obviously, I think I'm gonna, especially with this one, I'm going to wait after the end of the month to see how the price reaction, what's the price reacts here. Yeah, I might give it a little bit more time on this one, but yeah, that's kind of the take that I'm taking on this one. Same thing with Asta. So Cake and Asta. Asta definitely is going to be one of the greatest BNB betas, right? Why? Because obviously Asta is part of the BNB ecosystem, is the direct competitor for Hype. So I'm definitely thinking of adding more in terms of spot. So it's at a good level to buy. But as you can see here, if you look at the daily, right, we still a little bit, we haven't actually been able to break a structure to the upside. So I'm going to wait a little bit more in terms of adding into it. If we do get if we do get a flush again down to these levels here, right, I might add more DCA, but I think Asta could do pretty well in the next couple of months. So that would be my favorite, right? All the BNB plus, Asta has the good thing of Asta, it has a combination of three different strong trends at the moment. So one is the BNB ecosystem, two is the DeFi and ecosystem as well, and three is kind of the only competitor. Like it's a good competitor for Hype. Okay, so that's kind of what where I'm thinking putting more capital than usual. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with that. In terms of interesting things that I want to add more, so obviously I want to still add to Mantle. So Mantle is being really resilient, man. So fortunately we got stopped out on this one. Not stopped out, we got on entry on our leverage trade on this one. But I think I'm gonna definitely add more on spot. I'm gonna start trading this on a spot. This is not a bad idea to start buying. If Bitcoin decides to move up, I think Mantle, Hype, Arrow, all the main layer ones, I think are going to be really good, man. So I'm looking to add on this one a little bit more in terms of position. But obviously, hopefully I will get a little bit of a wiggle down, but I definitely want to add more towards this range, towards the 160. This is a really good area value to where you can actually see that it's been holding several times. So this is the daily flush, bounce right up, bounce right up, bounce right up, bounce right up, bounce right up. This is your buying level. Like this is the new sort of value of Mantle. So yeah. So that's a Mantle. Todd, blockchain as well with yes, exactly, Todd. So yeah, I do like it. Also, I'm seeing a bunch of different things happening on chain. There's new stuff that I wanna look into it. So I don't know. Let me just show you this chart here. It's called Planka, and Planka. Yeah, I was researching this over the weekend. Unfortunately, I didn't buy, and this is kind of like a token launch. It's kind of the pump.fun, but for the base ecosystem. And this one has been the reason why we have this massive upside over the weekend is because Planka is being acquired by, I don't know if you guys have heard about, where is it? Firecaster. So Firecaster is like a DeFi centralized social network, and they bought, so they seem to be sort of following the same business as Launchcoin and things like that. So Pump Fun. So I'm quite interested in that one, right? This one is kind of a newish sort of token. This one could do pretty much the same thing as Sora did a while back. So I don't know if you guys remember Sora. So Sora did something like this, right? This is a social token, and this could be an interesting price action to follow. So it's sort of following the same behavior, right? So that's why I'm quite interested in this one. So yeah, so looking into this one very, very closely. And if another thing that I'm looking at is all AI. So AI ecosystem seems to be picking up at the moment. Virtuals, again, AI 16 said things are picking up quite interesting. So I'm looking perhaps into some trades on virtuals again. Let me just show you virtuals. So it's a lot of different opportunities. I think is coming. Virtuals. This is the so something that I want you to highlight is what are the tokens that recover the most after the crash? So if you draw a line, right, on the day, probably the day before the crash, right? So that's kind of, your value-based tokens. So anything that is sort of above that level, I think it could be really strong, right? So this is one of them. This is, on Saturday, it broke that level straight up. Pendle, same deal. Let me just sync that line. It's because this line is very, very important. Okay, whatever tokens have strength after this crash, I think those are the ones that on market strength are going to definitely thrive. So that's kind of the stuff that I'm watching pretty closely. So seeing globally. There you go. Okay. So Pendle still below that. Why didn't it sync? Anyway, all right. Still below that range, right? So obviously it's not that strong, but I'm watching. Agent, same deal. Everything below that range. Pendle Agent 85 is still on the cards, but then I wanna make sure that Ethereum, because this is very correlated with Ethereum, but still stuff that I'm watching very, very closely. SEC as well. It's just been really strong, man. This thing is just being stupidly strong. But let me show you. 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 Let me show what I'm watching. So this is SEC and it's very close to all-time highs. Very close. So that's all-time highs is 372. I'm still interested in this one, right? But then I think XMR could do the next trick. So all privacy coins, SEC, XMR could actually, that's a different narrative as well. We were positioned prior to the crash on XMR. Unfortunately, we got flushed out, but here's now XMR is actually breaking that level, the level prior the flush. So I'm quite interested in XMR as well. So I'm just going to move it here, right? So yeah, so and obviously I just doing this list because I'm not sure, I don't think I'm going to buy before the end of the month unless I see something very, very interesting on these ones, right? But I'm just making the list to make sure that I'm get positioned right after the end of the month. So that's kind of what I'm tracking at the moment. So yeah, I think that's my favorite stuff. But you can definitely look at this the spaghetti charts and start to look at what has relative strength, right? And as you can see, like all Ethereum betas are definitely having a comeback. Layer ones having a comeback. AI, memes, RWA. So there is momentum. There is momentum in the market. So that's kind of quite positive coming towards the end of the month. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at.
Amazing. Amazing.
Oh, let me go because I did talk about this ones yesterday. Very interesting protocols that I think also they're brand new. These are the ones that I might be buying before the end of the month. Okay, so we have YB. So this is called Yield Basis, and this is kind of a very, very interesting protocol that it was launched. It was actually one day before the crash. What I'm watching this one very closely is that people already stopped selling. Okay, so with new protocols, of new stuff, new launches, especially the ones that actually been strong, right? Then this definitely looks like a deviation, right, in here. So this could be the new value to buy. So I might do this on spot, and more than likely these projects could actually appreciate in value quite rapidly, right? Talking about 116 from listing, 116% from listing. So this one is something that I'm watching closely. Also, I'm watching the double zero launch here. Protocol is pretty good. This seems to be now the place of the new value. And you can actually see why, right? Like, on the daily, you can see that the value is, people stop selling, right? So obviously, when people stop selling, then, new buyers will be attractive to this protocol. So I'm looking at probably around this range to start buying here as well. So it's not a bad idea to start buying here. And the good thing about this one is with leverage, you could perhaps do easy invalidation, easier stop loss from here with a huge risk reward. If you get stopped out, you get stopped out. We might buy lower, right? But on market strength, these protocols will probably provide really, really good risk reward, right? Because liquidity is quite low. So anything when liquidity comes in, it could come in very aggressively towards the upside and start sort of, going out quite quick. And then these are the best trades in my opinion. Low sort of good risk reward in terms of if you have your stop here and get stopped out, you get stopped out. But if this starts going up on the break of this level here at 30 cents, give or take, then it's going to start sort of filling the gap. That's when you actually take some profits here, move the stop loss, and then it's free money, right? After that. So yeah, these are the ones that I'm watching very, very closely. So yeah. To see means double zero protocol. It's called double zero. Let me find it here. I did talk about it before. Yeah, this one. This one. You can read more about the project here. So this is the one that I'm watching very, very closely as well. So yeah, I think that's it for me, guys, in terms of things that I'm watching this week. As you
Nice.
have.
Is there any, we've got a few minutes left. Is there any charts
Yep.
you'd like Maurizio to take a look at? And make sure that you've got access to the group and that you've read the welcome post and you know how trade alerts get sent out, and you know that it's best to comment on the trade alert itself rather than email support. Because if you email support, you're not emailing traders. If you comment on the trade alert post, you're talking with other traders.
Definitely. So there's a question here: to stay in a spot to be safe. I will say yes for the time being. I'm not opening. Yeah, I'm not opening any leverage before the end of the month unless you do like an intraday, very quick scalp, things like that. Okay, so yeah, that's kind of the plan. Then Retardio. Wow, let's have a look at Retardio. Haven't looked at Retardio in ages, man. Let's have a look. Probably Gate. Oh no, that's RFC. Never mind. Retardio. Retardio. Wow, it's been a while, man. Let's see. Okay. Wow, look at this in Mexi. Obviously, I'm missing the other bit on chain. Yeah, Retardio. Let me look. Let me look at here.
A new heuristic, a new one of Scott's heuristics came from Retardio. If it's good enough to take a screenshot, it's good enough to take profit.
Yes, definitely. Ooh, Retardio. Okay. Okay, it's pretty much at the same levels that it was at 12th March 2024, right? Unfortunately, with this type of, this is a meme attention token in a way, right? Can attention come back again? Yes, definitely it could, definitely could. Until what price? Who knows, right? The problem with this like meme stuff is that once they lose traction, right? Unless, they come back, they do something interesting, the community does something interesting, maybe we'll not get the same traction. Why? Because there's a lot of different stuff on the market right now. There's new stuff coming up every single day that it will steal the liquidity from these ones. So that's kind of what I'm saying in terms of Retardio. This is a good buy, not interesting. I'm not sure yet with this one. Yeah, not sure, man. Unfortunately, this price action is it doesn't look great, but if this becomes a deviation, right? Like if this reclaims this price back up right here, the 11 cents, maybe it does start pulling towards the upside. So until then, I wouldn't buy anything here yet. Yeah, it's just so much new stuff coming into the market. So, and this gave all the value back right? And I don't like seeing that on this project sort of deal. I like projects that probably, maintain its value, and this basically gave all the value back to 2024. So that's kind of the only thing that I don't like about Retadio. All right, any other questions?
There's a couple of technical ones, Maurizio. One is, how do
Yep.
you get that actual label on the sector spaghetti charts? So not setting up the charts itself.
Got it.
Yeah. And then
All
there's a
right.
question about which EMAs do you use?
Okay, so this one here is an actual indicator. You can it's free. Is called, give me 1 second. It's an indicator.
Oh, it's an indicator for the labeling.
Yes, it's a label indicator that you basically download. It's called Text Corner. You can find it's free. And then obviously that's why it's an indicator that always is going to be there. And you place it in the position, you label it here. Yeah, you can just it's called Text Corner on that's an indicators here. So that's an indicator itself. Just
No.
always to maintain the. All right. What's the other question?
Which EMAs are you using, or which MAs are you using?
Okay, the best EMA that I use, right? I use several, but then the one that I use in terms of long term is the daily 200, right? The daily 200 always produces really interesting results. So for instance, let's talk about any token. This is the daily 200 EMA. So I put two. One is the EMA and the other one is the SMA. The EMA daily 200 is this yellow one here, and the SMA is the this one right here. Why I put both? The SMA is just a regular average of the 200 days, and the EMA is the exponential. So obviously, it's going to put a lot of weight towards the end of, so puts more weight on the latest price instead of that. So I have these two in order to actually see what the main market is behaving. Now, let's have a look at Bitcoin, for instance, right? So let me just, yeah, now we have a clear view here. So usually, right, you see Bitcoin, these two EMAs are pretty good. One is the full average and one is the exponential, okay? So if you look at this, it always produces a very interesting range, and the 200 SMA is my line of the sand on when we start losing trend, right? So you can actually see why, right? And it's just the same EMA daily, but then one is the EMA, one the SMA. So this is when you start sort of buying, if you still, but then when you start have this breakout completely, you get a pretty good trades from them, always in every single token, right? So check this out. So for instance, this is Ethereum, right? And Ethereum, massive breakout to the upside, massive break to the upside, and always you get a bounce out of those. Always.
Is that a death cross?
Yes, this one here. This one?
Yeah.
Okay. With crosses, I don't look crosses on this one because this is essentially the same EMA, but with different sort of with different exponential, like one is the SMA, like just a basic 200-day average, and the other one has a little bit of momentum. The only thing that I want to see is that both are actually looking to the upside, right? Pointing upward, and that basically will give you a really good, trend indication. So this is my mainly my main train indicator in a way, right? So that's I do use other ones, but then for intraday stuff, but I don't want to confuse you in terms of intraday.
I'm with you.
Uh,
I'm with
yeah.
you. Awesome. So we got two more requests, and then that should
Yep.
bring us to the end. One is to look at Tau, and the other one is to look at ENA. So BitSensor
Yeah.
and ENA.
All right, Ina. Ina, I'm still love and hate. And fundamentally speaking, this one is still doing really good, right? And you know, the USDE is still very strong, right? You do get you do have a lot of volume on USDE, so that gives me a lot of hope for INA, right? But INA ideally wanna start buying after crossing the 200 EMA, right? In a way, right? We still sort of pushing that towards, or right, another. So I'm still holding this one. I'm still holding the whole bags of INA. Where do I want to start getting a little bit more worried about INA is if we start accepting this value here, right? If we start accepting or the prices actually start going below this area here, right? Why this is sorry. Right here, the 34 cents. I'll be, yeah, a little bit worried. Besides that, I think it still has a lot of momentum towards the upside. And would I add more to this one? Maybe not. Because there's a lot of new opportunities. I'll still hold what I'm holding on this one. But I do like it still. Still looks good. Still looks good. Still looks good. Not amazing, but it still looks good. Which other one?
It was
Tau.
BitSensor,
Tau. Yeah, Tau.
which I'm liking this a lot.
Me too. Me too. And let me just delete this again. This is the stuff I was watching before. Okay.
If we sorry to interrupt you. Think if we look on this at the weeklier moment, then we can see the range that is going to open up once we can get past you know, like where we are at the moment. It's going to have a lot of room to run.
Oh, definitely. So this is, yeah, definitely. So this is kind of the line. I like it. I like it. This is the one that I actually, you know, recovered the fastest after the crash, right? And Tau does have something fundamentally on their favor, and they, you know, Tau also does halving, you know, like Bitcoin does halving, the protocol itself. So it already actually went into the halving period. So I think that could definitely appreciate in value quite rapidly once we get into it. And being AI as well, centric protocol, I think it should be pretty good. I wouldn't mind start buying, to be honest. It looks pretty good. Would I do a leverage trade now? Not really. But this value here, which is the 364, seems to be, you know, the one that is accepting wide, like it's holding pretty good, man. So
and it's above both of your selected 200.
exactly. Yeah. Now you see the you know what I mean? Like he went above the EMA and now he's on like that level is now you can actually see that that level is holding pretty good, right? And obviously be mindful that this could actually flush back a little bit intense. That's why leverage could be a little bit weird, but then more than likely, you know, this definitely could start sort of appreciating in value quite rapidly as well. So I can definitely see this one. I really like it. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that was an amazing session, Maurizio.
All right.
And look forward to seeing everybody in the group. Have a good
All right,
week.
guys.
Keep
Have a good
your
week.
eyes peeled for those updates. I reckon we'll get a few trades on this week.
Definitely. I think so. Yeah, especially towards the end of the week. New month,
Lovely.
new stuff, man. So yeah, looking forward.
Cheers, everyone.
Okay, bye bye.